Alright, that looks good. What's up, guys? Matt Manduke here again, and it dawned on me while I was uploading my gas mileage video that I forgot the number one thing that I do to get better gas mileage. And I preach it all the time, but I'm going to add another tip that I like to tell everybody to this video because I think it'd be too short if I didn't. Number one thing I do to save gas mileage is... Oh, my big brain. No. Number one thing I do to save gas mileage is keep my tank as close to full as possible. Now, in previous cars, the Maxima I mentioned in the video before that, before this, the Ultima that I have currently, and I have it for sale, and other things, I noticed a significant difference between above half a tank and below half a tank. However, in this particular van, I notice a significant difference between above 3/4 of a tank and below 3/4 of a tank, and then another significant difference below half a tank. In other words, that 19 miles a gallon that I get is between full tank and 3/4 of a tank, and then I get on average like 15 between 3/4 and half, and then I get like 9 between half and empty. I try not to go empty for a couple reasons. One, because of that difference in gas mileage. I mean, we're talking about 10 miles to the gallon in the full scape. But also because the closer your fuel gets to the bottom of the tank, if you have any rust and stuff bouncing around in the inside of the tank, which isn't very as common as it used to be because of the difference in fuel additives that the gas companies put in. And I mean, if you get like Wawa gas, then yeah, you're probably going to end up with the extra stuff in the bottom of your tank because that's like the cheapest stuff you can get. And I say Wawa because, you know, that's what we have in New Jersey. But if you get like Turkey Hill in Pennsylvania, or you get Circle K out west, you guys are going to get like the same crap quality gas. And ultimately, you're going to have to replace your O2 sensors quicker too, because it's going to cause higher emissions, which causes more soot in your exhaust, which causes your O2 sensors and your catalytic converter to get more soot on them, which causes you to have to replace more parts. At that point, it's not really worth it. Same thing when I talk about fuel. When you're filling your tank, you're actually better off not topping it off. Now, I get it, if you're paying with cash, you probably want to round it to the nearest dollar because that just makes sense. But you're better off not topping it off because you're putting more pressure on your evap emission systems, which, if you have a vehicle like mine, it's a pain in the butt to fix. But realistically, it's a pain in the butt to fix on anything, because if you get a hole in one of those vacuum lines, then it requires a garage to put it on a smoke machine to find out where the problem is. And then in some cases, like in this van, a lot of that stuff's up underneath the engine and places where it's a real pain in the ass to get to, so they're going to charge me an arm and a leg to fix it. I'd really rather not deal with that, though the most common thing that it actually damages is your fuel cap, because there's a little rubber seal on the fuel cap, and eventually that ends up going bad because you put too much pressure on it, and it's only temporary pressure, so it flexes it, and then eventually it doesn't flex anymore and it breaks. But, or if the vehicle sits for a long period of time. But that's the other tip that I actually want to talk about is when it's going to snow, the worst thing that you can actually do is put your windshield wipers up. And that's because if we're talking about a windy snowstorm, the wind is strong enough to knock your wiper arm down. The wiper arm is strong enough to break your windshield. And I don't know about you, but I'd really rather not replace my windshield. I'd really rather just, scrape my window and not need that, or at worst replace a wiper blade over replacing a windshield. $20 beats the hell out of $230, and $230 on this van is cheap compared to what you're going to pay on like a Jeep. It's probably going to be closer to $300, or anything that's not as common. You're probably looking at paying more. Now, granted, full coverage insurance does cover most of that stuff, but depends on if you have a deductible or not. I don't know how cheap you are, but I'm as cheap as they get. Now, the only other thing that I really want to point out in this video is why having closer to a full tank gets you better gas mileage because a lot of people argue that it's higher weight, so why would that matter? It's because of the oxygen that actually gets in the tank causes you to have a higher octane, which produces a faster burning fuel. A lot of cars do get better gas mileage with premium gas, but I'm cheap, so I only put premium gas every like 5 tanks or so. Anyway, I'm signing off because I already did a video on this, and this one's getting to be a little bit long too because I like to talk. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.